Good morning, everyone. This is your fourth stimulus check update and daily news report. Calls for $2,000 cash are intensifying as millions of struggling Americans are depending on Congress right now to pass a fourth round of stimulus checks. That's scheduled for this Friday. Please make sure to watch until the end of this video. As this crisis continues to spread across the United States, taxpayers across the nation are pushing for monthly relief payments. The Internal Revenue Service and Treasury Department sent out financial stimulus checks in 3 different rounds of direct payments since the start of this crisis. The relief money, which was largely determined based on tax returns, was part of President Biden's $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan. Since the plan was passed in March, checks worth up to $1,400, $1,200, and $600 have been sent out across our nation. But as this crisis does not seem to be going away anytime soon, people across the U.S. are pushing for more relief money. A Change.org petition urging for monthly stimulus checks, which was put into action last year by Denver restaurant owner Stephanie Bonin, has reached nearly 3 million signatures as of this past Tuesday. That petition read, "I'm calling on Congress to support families with a $2,000 payment for adults and a $1,000 payment for kids immediately, and continuing regular checks for the duration of this crisis. Otherwise, laid-off workers, furloughed workers, the self-employed, and workers dealing with reduced hours will struggle to pay their rent or put food on the table. Many people have already lost their jobs, and others are being forced to stay home." Meanwhile, 21 Democratic senators have called on President Biden to give recurring checks to Americans in need. This letter read, "We urge you to include recurring direct payments and automatic unemployment insurance extensions tied to economic conditions in your Build Back Better long-term economic plan."
Thank you, everybody. And I'm glad to be joined by Senators Durbin, Murray, and Stabenow. We had a robust and wide-ranging and really constructive discussion in our caucus today about what lies ahead, and we all want to move forward to get big things done for the American people. There are 5 major items we must deal with that we discussed today in the caucus. Voting rights and reconciliation, which we spent the most time on, those 2, particularly reconciliation. Appropriations. Excuse me. Sorry.
Where's your mask?
It's here in my pocket, but I can't talk. I actually, this is a little known fact. After I eat, I sneeze often. All the males in my family do it. So we had a nice meal in there. Okay. Voting rights and it's not a cold, it's sneezing from eating. Yeah. Voting rights and reconciliation took the most time. Appropriations, debt limit, and nominations. Now, just like when we began earlier this year, the Senate has a whole lot of work to get done, and we are moving forward on every issue. We're making very good progress. On voting rights, Rules Chair Klobuchar, along with Senators Kane, Manchin, Merkley, Padilla, Tester, and Warnock, all introduced the Freedom to Vote Act today. The proposal contains many of the important provisions of previous voting rights bills championed by Democrats, particularly by my colleague Senator Merkley. To piece this bill together, I'm proud to have convened and worked with 8 members of my caucus, 4 on the liberal side, 4 on the more moderate side, to bring this bill to fruition. The bottom line, this legislation is critical for stopping some of the most egregious assaults against voting rights from Republicans, exclusively Republicans, at the state level, like the awful one, there are so many awful ones, but the awful one signed by the governor of Texas a few weeks ago. This is an important voting rights bill that I want to vote on very soon. We need to move quickly here. Time is of the essence. Every member knows that. Senator Manchin, for the last 2 weeks and continuing, is reaching out to Republican colleagues to see if they...
A recent Census Bureau survey discovered that a quarter of Americans struggled to pay their household expenses from late July through August. So everyone, what do you think about all of this? Do you agree with me that a 4th round of stimulus payments should be passed? Please leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Once you get your 3rd child tax credit check today, you will have 3 more payments left in 2021 and one more payment in 2022. If you choose to receive the monthly payments, you're getting 50% of the total credit in 6 monthly installments, and the rest with your tax refund in 2022. That could mean up to $3,000 annually for each child between ages 6 and 17, and up to $3,600 annually for each under age 6. And there's a chance that revamped benefit could be extended to 2025. The latest piece of Democratic legislation in the House proposes that become part of a massive $3.5 trillion spending plan, addressing the needs of low-income families. But until it becomes final legislation, there are still several deadlines for the remainder of this year's credit that parents should be aware of. Everyone, thank you so much, everyone. For example, families that are now choosing to opt out of the advance payment program need to do so before October 4th, which means they'll be unenrolled by the October check. It's also a good idea for families to update their banking details or mailing address if they've had problems receiving the first 2 payments. The IRS Update portal allows parents to manage their monthly payments and household information. Given the popularity of these programs with millions of families, there is a great chance that the expanded credit could be extended at least a few years. House Democrats have recently come up with a proposal to keep the increased benefit going until the year 2025. It would also allow low-income families who don't usually file taxes to receive the benefits. If you are still expecting a payment, please check the government's Get My Payment tool. There are certain cases where citizens may need to take additional steps in tracing their stimulus payments. The Internal Revenue Service says you may need to trace your payment if the IRS Get My Payment tool says your stimulus money was issued, yet it never arrived, or you received a letter from the IRS stating your payment was sent, but you never received it. According to the government, you can request a payment trace by calling the Internal Revenue Service. You can either use the automated system or speak with an agent. You can also mail or fax a completed Form 3911, which is a taxpayer statement regarding refund form. The Internal Revenue Service notes that if you filed a married filing jointly return, you cannot initiate a trace using the automated systems. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me here this morning. I greatly and truly appreciate it. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a very blessed,